Dr. Sommersal is a PhD in chemistry. He's also an MD, practicing MD, and he's one of those rare individuals that have been able to maintain work in a position in mainstream science while being at the same time very, very strong advocate of what is alternative science and dietary supplement and nutrition. He has been lecturing on this for many, many years. He has written many, many books in this field, bridging science, medical science, and also dietary supplements. And so he's very, very well aware of what is out there. When he heard about what we were doing, he wanted to come and just see for himself, what really that was. So we sat down, we talked for a few hours, and all I can say is that of all the the scientists with whom I've talked about the concept, it always takes some time, for them to really understand the implication of this. And I was with Dr. Sommersal, and probably about 15 minutes in the talk, he's just shaking in his head. He says, if all of this is true, this is unbelievable. And at the end, showing all the data, he just realized that this was really something that was going to change, health and wellness and the way that we look at medicine. So we asked him if he wanted to join us. He was happy to do so. And to tell you a little bit more about it, please give a good hand to Dr. Sommersal.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, good morning, STEM Tech. First of all, I should tell you it's a great honor for me to be here. To think that I have the opportunity to become part of this new revolution, and I will tell you a little about how I feel in a minute about this. First, I should probably tell you how I got here, and then I'll tell you why. So the how. The how is that Don Kahn and I go back a long way. We've been involved in this sort of stuff in this industry for over 20 years. We've known each other for over 20 years. And I don't know what prompted him, but he probably thought there was a good fit between STEM Tech and me. So he picked up the phone, called me, and after he sent me to the website, and I checked it all out, and he sent me some products, and I started using them and so on, I was overwhelmed by what I learned. So eventually, he got me to speak to Ray on the phone, and then we set up so I could come down to the head office and visit with the management and with the staff there. And I was so impressed by everything I saw. And I jumped in hook, line, and sinker because I know something good when I see it. Okay? Let me first tell you a little about me because it's obviously important, I guess, for you to know since you might have to refer to this. I come from a small island in the Caribbean called St. Kitts, a very tiny little place. I finished high school there, and then I went off to university in the University of London in England, did my first degree in chemistry back in the 60s, and then I moved to the United States. I did a year at the University of Pennsylvania, and then moved on to the University of Toronto. I did my master's and my PhD there back in the early 70s. And then I started doing research and so on, and then I went back to teach at the University of Toronto, and eventually I got into the vitamin industry in the early mid-70s. And vitamins brought me to the interface with medicine. So one day, one Tuesday night, I remember it like it was yesterday, in 1983, I suddenly got this idea. I should go to medical school. Because I thought if I got a degree in medicine and science to put it together, this can be really something interesting. So the next morning I got up, I went to the University of Toronto, I got the application forms, I filled them out, and to cut the story short, I got into medical school, I went to medical school, finished medical school, and started practicing medicine. But during that time, remember, I went to medical school having already got into vitamins and nutrition and lifestyle and health. So I went right through medical school listening with one ear, but with my other ear tuned to something else. So I'm not a typical kind of medical graduate, but I started practicing medicine, and as soon as I started practicing, I became very aware that doctors are so good at picking people up at the bottom of the cliff after they tumble over the cliff. And I thought, man, if we could only put up a guardrail up here, what a big difference it would make. So I got more and more involved in wellness and health, and then I started writing books. I've written 10 books, most of them in the area of wellness and nutrition. And then I started going to radio and television and all that sort of stuff, basically becoming a communicant. because somebody has to take this important message out to the world. And the more I got involved, then we started traveling and went all over the world doing this and so on. So I come to you with a passion. I'm very passionate about this because the problem of health today is not another medical breakthrough. We have so much medical science, so many drugs, so many surgical procedures, great hospitals, and still people are suffering. So something tells me that there's something more. They did a study at Harvard University a number of years ago, and they showed that if you take all the factors which influence the quality of health and the length of life in real terms in our industrial societies, only 10% comes from the health system. 20% comes essentially from genetics. So 20% environmental. But here's the bottom line. 50% is lifestyle. The things individual people, not patients, individual people choose to do. And that's where we come in. So that tells a little of how we got here. And I just want to publicly, on my very first presentation at a STEMTech event, first acknowledge Don Kahn, because he is the one who gave me this link. And I now feel connected. I now feel empowered. And over the next few years, you'll see what we get to do. I also want to tell you, well, let me begin to tell you why I did this. So I'll begin by starting with, let's see if I can get a first slide up on the screen. I don't know how to do this. Can you give me the first slide? There we go. I'll give you 4 top reasons. Everything I do in 5s. But I thought about the 5th one, and I'll surprise you. So let me give you the 4 top reasons why I actually chose to identify and to put myself into STEMTech, hook, line, and sinker. Now, here's the reason number 1. STEMTech, for me, represents the cutting edge of nutrition. What do I mean? Well, am I doing something wrong? Am I going the wrong direction? Maybe I am. That's it. Okay, now I got it. Thank you. Now I got it. Now, after World War II, we developed a lot of new technology, and this technology got turned on to the food supply. Because of the technology impact on food, we turned food from being an agricultural product to being an industrial product. So that today, anything you buy in the area of food, if you buy it in a supermarket or in a grocery, the chances are you're buying more industrial food. And I could go through that in great detail, but I think most people are very aware of that. We mill grain, we pasteurize and homogenize milk, and so on. We add all stuff that doesn't belong there. So eventually we end up with a product which is an industrial product. Because of that, we have depleted a lot of the essential nutrients in food. So soon after the war, we gave birth to the supplement industry. The supplement industry basically said, if you're not getting your essentials from your food supply, then you've got to add it. And the first thing down the pike were vitamins. Vitamins. So back in the 50s, we started off with vitamins, and everybody became aware that they're so-called essential vitamins that you have to eat because you can't make them in your body. So we started in a very small way of sort of vitamin industry, which today is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Everybody get that with a B. Multi-billion dollars of people taking vitamins. And let me plant the seed now. Why do people take vitamins? No, I'm only asked the question. You don't have to answer me now. I'm coming back to that because I want you to be very aware. Next, after vitamins, we then went into the organic food business. We began to discover the importance of fiber and of herbal products. And so a lot of this started out with organic food stores and so on. And now we're probably into the 60s. Wrong. Then we continued in antioxidants. Antioxidants came into the market, and then the omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. And then we went from that to the antioxidants. The key one was the one called glutathione, which we discovered inside cells to basically become an internal antioxidant system. I wrote a book about that. But glutathione became very important. And then we started looking at delivery systems in the late 90s. There's something called chelate-activated enzyme delivery systems here in the United States. In Europe, they developed a system called Fit for Life and so on. But finally, at the turn of the century, comes this big bombshell. And I call it a bombshell because stem cell nutrition is a bombshell in the wellness industry. Now, let me tell you why. You just heard it from Christian, and what a remarkable scientist Christian is. Let's give Christian a hand. I have the utmost respect. His name is going to go down in the history of the wellness movement because what he has done in making discoveries just opened up an avalanche of possibilities, which I will refer to in a minute. He just talked to you about the importance of enhancing the release of stem cells from the bone marrow and then circulating it and delivering it to the tissues and then getting it into the tissue. So I don't need to repeat all that. But I want to emphasize that stem cells represent the cutting edge, listen to this, of both medicine and nutrition. Now, some of you, unfortunately, have parked on the wrong bank. Some of you are still thinking of stem cells and medicine. How do I know that? Because I've been with you now for